Suddenly, a warning alarm blared across the asteroid, jolting both Zilara and Lucas from their thoughts. A series of ships appeared on the radar, moving fast and stealthily toward their location. Zilara's heart sank. What is happening? Lucas's face turned pale. Those are not our ships. They look like fighters from the faction that betrayed you. We must get to safety. Panic surged through Zilara. No, they cannot ruin this chance for peace. Without hesitation, Zilara activated her communicator. All ships, prepare for battle. Protect the commander and his crew. As her fleet sprang into action, Zilara's heart raced. She watched as the Vortexian ships positioned themselves around Lucas's shuttle, forming a protective barrier. It was a moment of unity, a flicker of hope amid the chaos. Lucas looked at Zilara, determination written across his face. We'll fight together, Princess. We can stop them. Zilara nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Yes, we will show them that unity is stronger than betrayal. The enemy ships closed in, and both fleets prepared for battle. The stars around them seemed to ignite as weapons fired and explosions lit up the dark expanse of space. Zilara felt adrenaline surge through her veins as she commanded her crew. Fire at will, she shouted. Protect our allies. The sound of battle filled the air, and as the chaos unfolded, Zilara and Lucas fought side by side, their hearts beating as one. They had come together to confront their common enemy. And in that moment, they forged a bond stronger than any betrayal. The fight raged on, and with every blast, Zilara realized the truth. Together, they were more powerful than they could ever be apart. As the enemy ships fell one by one, she understood that this battle was not just for their peoples, but for a future that could be built on trust and unity. The unexpected war had begun, but within the heart of the chaos, a new alliance was being born, and together they would stand against the darkness threatening to consume. The tide turns. The sounds of battle echoed through the emptiness of space, a symphony of chaos that was both terrifying and exhilarating. Zilara stood at the command console of her ship, her heart pounding as she directed her crew. The Vortexian fleet moved with precision, their ships weaving in and out of danger, returning fire against the enemy ships that had attacked them without warning. Commander Lucas, she shouted over the comms, her voice steady despite the chaos. We need to coordinate our attacks. If we strike their command ship, we might turn the tide of this battle. Lucas's voice crackled through the communicator, filled with urgency. Agreed. I'll have my ships focus on the fighters, while you lead the charge on the command ship. We'll take them by surprise. Zilara nodded, adrenaline surging through her veins. This was their moment. They were fighting not just for their lives, but for a future where they could coexist. All ships target the command ship. Prepare to engage at my signal. As Zilara's fleet regrouped, she could see the enemy command ship looming in the distance, a massive dark structure that seemed to absorb the light around it. It was a fortress of metal, and it had to be taken down. Now, she shouted, and the Vortexian ships unleashed a torrent of firepower toward the command ship. Laser beams sliced through the void, hitting the hull with brilliant flashes. The command ship responded, its cannons firing back, but Zilara's fleet had already anticipated the move. The battle unfolded with a rhythm, an intricate dance of destruction. Zilara's heart raced as she watched her crew execute maneuvers they had practiced countless times. They dodged and weaved, unleashing fire on their foes while keeping the enemy on the defensive. Keep the pressure on, she called out. Don't let them regroup. Meanwhile, Lucas coordinated his own fleet, barking orders to his crew. Focus fire. Take out their shields. Zilara felt a surge of respect for the humans fighting alongside her. They were determined, fierce, and they wanted peace just as much as she did. The barriers that had once separated them began to crumble in the heat of battle. As the command ship took more hits, its shields flickered. Zilara felt hope blossom in her chest. We can do this, she declared, her voice ringing with newfound determination. But just as victory seemed within reach, A horrifying sight unfolded. A massive ship emerged from the dark reaches of space, larger and more imposing than anything they had faced before. It bore the insignia of the faction that had betrayed her, a twisted emblem of an eye surrounded by flames. "Zilara, we have a serious problem." Lucas's voice came through, panic lacing his tone. She turned, her heart sinking as she saw the behemoth of a ship powering toward them. It was equipped with advanced weaponry, and the moment it entered the fray, it unleashed a devastating barrage of missiles. "Take evasive action," Zilara yelled, her mind racing. They needed to regroup. "We can't fight that thing head-on." Her fleet scattered, trying to avoid the incoming fire, but the enemy ship was relentless. Zilara watched in horror as several Vortexian ships exploded, their debris scattering like fireworks in the blackness of space. "Commander Lucas," she shouted urgently, "we need to come up with a plan. We can't just run." "Right," Lucas replied, his voice stealing with resolve. "We need to distract it. If we can draw its fire, we can find a weak point and hit it from the flank." Zilara nodded, formulating a strategy. "I'll take a small team and create a diversion. You focus on getting your ships into a flanking position." "Be careful, Princess," Lucas warned, his concern evident. "We need you alive to carry out this plan." "I will be careful," she assured him, her resolve hardening. "We cannot let this betrayal go unpunished." Zilara quickly assembled a small squad of her best pilots. "We'll create a diversion. Stay close and follow my lead." As they launched toward the massive ship, Zilara felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. The enemy ship's weapons lit up as they approached, but she maneuvered skillfully, dodging lasers and missiles. Her crew followed suit, their hearts racing as they dove in and out of fire. "Together, now," Zilara shouted, and they unleashed everything they had against the ship, firing laser beams and missiles with precision. The enemy ship returned fire, but Zilara's team was quick and agile, darting around like fireflies in the dark. The diversion worked. The massive ship turned its weapons toward them, creating an opening for Lucas and his fleet. "Now's your chance," Zilara yelled into the communicator. "Attack while it's distracted." Lucas's voice rang through the comms. "We're on it. All ships, charge." With newfound energy, Lucas's fleet surged forward, attacking from the flank. The enemy ship found itself caught between two fronts, struggling to defend against the simultaneous onslaught. Zilara watched as their combined efforts began to turn the tide. With determination, she led her team, focusing their firepower on the enemy's exposed flank. Explosions erupted, and Zilara's heart soared as the massive ship began to falter. "Keep firing," she commanded, her eyes locked on their target. They had a chance to destroy the very vessel that had betrayed her people. As the last round of fire struck, the ship shuddered violently. Zilara felt a rush of triumph as the ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, sending debris spiraling into space. Cheers erupted over the comms. "We did it," Lucas's voice rang out, filled with excitement. Zilara smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "Yes, we did. But there's still more work to do. We need to take down the remaining forces." As they regrouped, the battlefield was alive with energy. The tide had turned, and with it, a new alliance was born from the ashes of betrayal. Together, they could stand against any force that threatened their worlds. As the remaining enemy ships retreated, Zilara felt hope rise within her. They had fought not just for survival, but for a future where they could unite against darkness. The battle was far from over, but in that moment, she knew they would face whatever came next to the aftermath of war. The silence after the battle was deafening. Space, once alive with the sounds of conflict, was now eerily quiet. Zilara stood on the bridge of her ship, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of the fight. The remains of the enemy command ship drifted nearby, a ghostly reminder of their hard-won victory. "Status report," Zilara commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos that had just unfolded. Her crew worked diligently, inputting data and assessing damage. Commander Lucas reports that we have suffered heavy losses, a tactical officer said, looking up from his console. But we have successfully repelled the enemy forces. The remaining ships are retreating. Zilara felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had survived, but at what cost? How many did we lose? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The officer hesitated, glancing at the screen filled with grim statistics. We lost 12 ships, and over 200 Vortexian lives were taken in battle. The weight of the loss settled heavily on her heart. Zilara had come to care deeply for her crew, and each life lost was a personal tragedy. Prepare a memorial for those we've lost, she instructed, her voice firm. We will honor them for their bravery. As the crew moved to carry out her orders, Zilara took a moment to reflect on the battles they had fought together. This was not just a war for survival. It was a fight for their identity, their very existence. She had once believed in the possibility of peace, but betrayal had ignited a fire within her that could not be extinguished. Princess Zilara. Lucas's voice broke through her thoughts. He stepped onto the bridge, his face showing signs of exhaustion, but also determination. We need to talk about what's next. Agreed, Zilara replied, gesturing for him to join her. We can't rest for long. The enemy may regroup. Lucas nodded, his brow furrowing with concern. We have to find the source of this betrayal. It is clear that there are factions within humanity that want us gone. We can't let them strike again. Zilara felt a surge of anger. They think they can destroy us, but they underestimate our resolve. We will not back down. We will uncover their plans and show them the strength of our alliance. As the two leaders strategized, the bridge was filled with the hum of activity. Crew members worked to analyze the data they had gathered during the battle, piecing together what had happened. Princess, we've managed to retrieve some data from the enemy ships before they retreated, a communications officer announced, excitement in her voice. It appears they were receiving orders from a larger ship, a mothership hidden beyond the asteroid belt. A mothership, Zilara echoed, her heart racing with the possibilities. Then we have a lead. If we can find it, we might discover the true extent of their plans. Lucas leaned over the officer's console, studying the readings. We need to assemble a task force to investigate. We can't let this opportunity slip away. Let's get to work, Zilara declared, her voice ringing with authority. We will gather our best pilots and ships, and we'll move swiftly. This time, we will catch them off guard. The crew rallied behind her, their spirits lifted by the prospect of a new mission. As they prepared for departure, Zilara felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would not just be fighting for survival, they would be fighting for their future, a plan of action. Zilara and Lucas held a meeting with their respective commanders, outlining their strategy. Maps of the surrounding area were spread across the conference table, illuminated by holographic projections. According to the data, the mothership is located just beyond the asteroid belt, Zilara explained, pointing to the display. If we can navigate through the asteroids undetected, we might have the element of surprise on our side. Lucas nodded, his eyes narrowing in concentration. We'll need to send scouts ahead to gather intel. I recommend sending in small ships to avoid detection. Zilara agreed. We should move quickly. The longer we wait, the more time they have to fortify their defenses. With their plan in place, the team set to work. The atmosphere buzzed with energy as Vortexian and human pilots prepared their ships, readying themselves for the next mission. Zilara felt a sense of unity in their shared goal. Despite their differences, they were all fighting for the same cause. As the ships launched into space, Zilara's heart raced with anticipation. She stood at the command console, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen displaying the vastness of space ahead. The asteroids loomed like guardians, and she could feel the weight of their journey ahead, into the unknown. Navigating through the asteroid belt was treacherous. Zilara's hands gripped the controls tightly as she directed her ship through the maze of floating rocks. Her crew worked in unison, their training evident as they maneuvered deftly through the dangers. "Steady," Zilara called out, her voice steady. "We can do this. Just follow my lead." The ships moved in formation, weaving between the asteroids with precision. Every twist and turn felt like a heartbeat, a reminder of the danger they faced. The adrenaline surged through her veins, fueling her determination. As they neared the location of the mothership, Zilara's heart quickened. They were about to uncover the truth behind the betrayal that had shaken her world. "Prepare for scans," she commanded. "I want to know everything about that ship before we engage." The crew worked quickly, sending out probes to gather data. Zilara's mind raced as she considered the possible outcomes. If they could destroy the mothership, they could potentially end the threat to both their races. Suddenly, a warning light flashed on her console. "Princess, we've detected movement." The tactical officer exclaimed, urgency in her tone. "The mothership is launching fighters." "Battle stations," Zilara ordered, adrenaline coursing through her. "Prepare to engage." As the Vortexian ships braced for the impending battle, Zilara felt a surge of determination. They had come too far to turn back now. With the alliance of humans and Vortexians united, they would face whatever came their way, ready to reclaim their future from the shadows of betrayal. The final confrontation. The battlefield erupted into chaos. As Zilara's ship engaged, the space around them exploded with energy. Bright lasers sliced through the darkness, illuminating the void as both Vortexian and human fighters clashed with enemy ships. The air buzzed with tension as Zilara prepared for the fight ahead. "Stay close to the formation," Zilara shouted to her crew as she maneuvered the ship with precision. "We need to protect each other and take out their fighters." The command bridge was filled with a mixture of fear and determination. Her crew members worked tirelessly, coordinating their efforts and relaying information. Zilara felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, but was fueled by the knowledge that they were fighting for their lives. "Enemy fighters incoming," shouted the tactical officer, his voice sharp with urgency. "Prepare to engage." Zilara's heart raced as she deftly dodged enemy fire, her instincts sharp as she guided her ship through the barrage. Her crew fired back with laser blasts, taking down several enemy ships in a flurry of sparks. "Nice shot, Captain." Lucas's voice crackled over the comms, a note of pride lacing his words. "Thanks. Now let's take out that mothership," Zilara replied, her eyes narrowing at the looming vessel in the distance. It was a massive, ominous structure, swirling with dark energy. She knew that if they could destroy it, they would cripple the enemy's ability to wage war. As they drew closer, Zilara's thoughts turned to the battle that had led them here. The betrayal, the loss of lives, and the fight for justice had ignited a fire within her. She would not let their sacrifice be in vain. "Commander Lucas, lead a squadron to flank the mothership," Zilara ordered. "I'll take the main attack. We need to draw their fire away from the rest of our fleet." Lucas nodded, determination etched on his face. "Understood. Let's give them everything we've got." A daring plan. The Vortexian ships surged forward, the engines roaring as they pushed toward the mothership. Zilara's heart pounded with a mixture of fear and excitement. The time for vengeance was at hand. As they approached, Zilara activated the ship's cloaking device, allowing them to slip past enemy defenses unnoticed. "We're almost there," she said, her fingers dancing across the controls as she prepared for the assault. "Enemy detection systems are coming online," the tactical officer warned. "They've spotted us. Full speed ahead," Zilara commanded. "We need to breach their defenses." With a sudden jolt, the ship surged forward. The hull vibrated as they were met with a barrage of enemy fire. Zilara gritted her teeth, focusing on the target ahead. They needed to reach the mothership's weak spot, a small opening at its core. "Brace for impact," Zilara shouted as the ship rocked under the strain of enemy fire. Alarms blared, and the crew shouted out commands, the atmosphere charged with urgency. "Target acquired," the tactical officer announced, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Ready to fire on your mark." "On my mark." 3, 2, 1, fire, Zilara yelled, feeling the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The ship unleashed a powerful blast, striking the mothership's core. A bright explosion erupted, sending shockwaves through space. The mothership shuddered violently, alarms blaring as its systems began to fail. The turning tide. As the enemy forces reeled from the blow, Zilara felt a surge of hope. "Now's our chance. Attack," she commanded, rallying her crew. The Vortexian and human ships moved in unison, launching a coordinated assault on the wounded mothership. Lasers blazed, tearing through the remnants of enemy ships as the combined forces pressed forward. "Keep up the pressure. We can't let them recover," Lucas called over the comms, his voice steady and commanding. The tide of battle shifted as Zilara's determination fueled the fight. They were reclaiming their power, their unity shining bright in the darkness of space. Together, they could accomplish anything. As they continued to strike at the mothership, Zilara caught sight of a familiar ship amidst the chaos. It was the vessel of the traitorous human leader who had orchestrated the betrayal. Anger coursed through her veins as she saw it evade attacks and reposition itself for a counterstrike. "Lucas, I'm going after that ship," Zilara announced, her eyes narrowing with determination. "We can't let them escape." "Be careful, Zilara," Lucas cautioned, but she was already moving, her ship deftly weaving through the chaos toward her target. A personal vendetta. Zilara's ship surged forward, her heart racing as she chased the traitor's vessel. This was personal. The leader had cost them lives and had to pay for the betrayal. The enemy ship was sleek and fast, but Zilara's determination gave her the edge. "Prepare to fire," she commanded, her hands gripping the controls tightly. "We're not letting them get away." As the distance closed, Zilara unleashed a barrage of fire, striking the enemy ship's engines. It veered off course, smoke trailing behind it. Zilara felt a surge of triumph, but she knew the fight wasn't over yet. The traitorous leader's ship struggled to regain control, but it wasn't enough. Zilara pressed her advantage, launching another volley of attacks. "This ends now," she shouted, her voice filled with rage and resolve. With one final strike, Zilara's ship struck true. The enemy vessel erupted into a ball of flames, breaking apart in the vacuum of space. Zilara's heart raced as she witnessed the destruction of their enemy. A new dawn. As the dust began to settle, the remnants of the battle faded into silence. The mothership was crippled, and the remaining enemy forces were retreating. Zilara felt a sense of relief wash over her, knowing they had achieved the impossible. "Princess Zilara, we did it," a crew member shouted, joy erupting through the bridge. Zilara took a deep breath, her heart swelling with pride. "We did it together," she replied, her voice steady. "This victory is for everyone we lost." As the crew celebrated, Zilara reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. The battles, the losses, and the unwavering spirit of her people had forged a path to victory. But this was just the beginning. They had shown the galaxy that they would not back down in the face of betrayal. The bond between humans and Vortexians had been strengthened, and they would face whatever came next together. Zilara stood at the bridge, gazing out into the stars. The future was uncertain, but she knew that as long as they fought together, there was hope. The war may have ended, but the fight for peace and understanding was just beginning. And she was ready for whatever lay ahead.